Okay, a quick note on different kinds of creases. Now, one of the things that you guys will realize is that your body has different kinds of creases or folds. If you look at the kind of folds that are created here in the spine, the creases are relatively softer and smoother. But the crease that you get from a sort of, let's say, a bend in the arm, uh, let me try that out, something like that. The crease that you get here in the elbow is much sharper, it's much harder. So the way I want you to look at painted weights when it comes to all of this is this. The softer the crease is, the more softer the gradation or the black to white transition is going to be. The harder the crease is going to be, the harder that black to white transition is going to be over here. So let me explain what that means. It means that when I look at the neck, here's my head, I'm able to see nice sort of gradations over here because I don't necessarily get harder creases over here. But now let's go ahead and take a look at, let's say, left up arm, which in this particular case is your shoulder. So if I wanted to work on the shoulder, by the way, if I wanted to isolate it, I could just pin it right here. So I could just select my up arm and pin it, and that way I don't have to look for it constantly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and check the up arm and the elbow because those are the two things I quickly want to show you guys. So selecting the up arm and the elbow, and this little gray area you can see is kind of divided between the elbow and the up arm or the shoulder. So let me just quickly bend this guy. Once again, I'm going to keyframe it. Something like that, and you can see that that bend is too rounded. I don't really like that as much. Let me go ahead and select this painted weights tool, and here's how I'm actually going to be fixing it. Firstly, my shoulder should not be controlling any part of the elbow at all. Just going to go into my elbow, replace, change the value to 1, and just make sure that that's how it is. Go to my shoulder, and I'm going to do the same thing. So you see that I'm basically reducing the amount of gray that I'm seeing over there. Okay, reducing the amount of gray. It's my shoulder right there. And of course, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time doing that. So when I bend it now, okay, of course, there is going to be a little bit of gray. So reduce our brushes and smoothen some of those parts right there. And you see that it's kind of beginning to look a little better. Now this part, the gray is going to be slightly bigger. And you see that animating it kind of helps me actually see, because if I was to just paint weights here, then there's no way to see what I'm doing. But when I deform it through animation, painting it gives you a much better idea of how that deformation is now looking. So I can make it look better. Something like that. If that's too much for you, you can start going into replace, reduce the opacity, and start adding, or maybe it's too much. Just, here you go, something like that. You see that black to white gradation is really small as compared to what we saw in the head. So watch out for creases, number 1. Secondly, I would like for you to prefer painting whites as against to painting black. So let me select the up arm and the elbow again, and I'm going to pin it. So say for example, I select the elbow and paint a little bit of white here, which is obviously a mistake. The elbow should not be controlling this area right here. My instinct is to go ahead and paint black over it. I don't want you to do that. Because I want you to understand what happens if you paint black over that area right there. That's like saying these two vertices need to be unassigned to the elbow. Then which joint is going to be controlling those two vertices? Here's where Maya starts to use her own logic, and that is something that got us into this trouble to begin with. We don't want Maya to think. So instead of painting black for the elbow, I'm going to go into the shoulder and paint white. And what Maya is going to do is steal that white from the elbow and give it to the shoulder. So that way, not only are you fixing it, you're also telling Maya which joint is going to be controlling those areas. And then as you are finished, as you say, for example, start from the head and start working towards, working outwards, working downwards, you can go ahead and start locking your joints. So lock them as you keep working on them. Those were some tricks I want you to bear in mind as you're finishing painting weights. You're going to have to work on all these joints. That's going to take you quite a lot of time. We basically just kind of worked on the head. Oh yeah, hey, don't forget to delete the keys on the controllers. Edit keys, delete keys.